Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
I want to introduce you to someone very special today. Faith Farm Ministries has always been very special to me. And it's Douglas Lidwell, who is the pastor and director of Fort Lauderdale campus of Faith Farm Ministries. And they have 3 campuses, and we're going to have Douglas talk to us about a lot of that, even though we're going to focus in on Fort Lauderdale. So welcome to our show, Douglas.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome. And of course, it's a holiday time, and I know it's busy, and I know that you took your time to do this, but it's really worth your coming here because nowhere else does someone, I think, feature Faith Farm Ministries. It's more of a secret among the people who need, they need help, whether it's the addiction or other things. But I try to do this and tell the public. It's the public that needs to know this, whether they're the people who are going to wind up at the various faith farms or their family is going to help them. But I want the public to understand that when they go to the thrift shops, which you have there in Fort Lauderdale or Boynton Beach or in Okeechobee, that it isn't just delivering products there that sell and they get the money from that or buying things. It's a much bigger issue, and I'd like you to focus on that. What is the issue of Faith Farm Ministries?
Well, as you mentioned, we've been here now nearly 70 years. It'll be in 2021. It'll be 70 years that we've been here. But most people will know us as the thrift stores. But what they don't know is that's not what we do at all. Our true mission is an addiction recovery center. And many people know that South Florida is the home of addiction recovery. Everybody from all over the country comes down here.
Before you continue with that, what is the I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. What is the reason?
I want to say it's the weather. It's people can come from Michigan or from Montana and all year round get down here and get away from the cold so they can focus on what they need to focus on. I think there may also be something with state laws and so forth that make it a little bit more amenable to recovery, but that has always been Faith Farm's mission. And we have a 10-month-long, this isn't one of these 30-day programs where they just bill your insurance and you're out. We have a 10-month-long recovery program. It's actually a regeneration program. And we do not charge one dime for the entire 10-month stay. It is all paid for by the donations of the people in our community and others coming to the thrift stores and shopping. And the men who are in our program, they work in the stores or the lawn crew or the kitchen or wherever. As a part of their program, it's literally work therapy as we share the gospel with them and teach them their new identity. And all of that is supported and paid for by the donations of our community and has been for 7 decades now.
I know, and that's why I'm always so enthusiastic and why I always tell people, I know there are a lot of very good charities out there, but for me, the charity of my choice is Faith Farm Charities, right? Faith Farm Ministries, because you can see the dollars. You know what your money's going for. And we don't always see that in the other charities.
Well, today addiction has become so widespread. I think we talked last time I was here. Back just a generation ago, America's view of addiction was, Otis that would let himself into Sheriff Andy's jail cell at night to sleep it off. But today, this is a genuine curse that has affected nearly every family in America. And if you don't have someone in your family who struggles with addiction, your neighbor probably does. And so knowing that there's hope, knowing that there is a genuine solution to this, it has never dawned on many people. And to find out that we're there, that we've been doing this for so many years, kind of behind the scenes, behind the operations of the thrift store that people see, is a surprise to people. But there really is hope.
Right, and of course, I think we said this last time also, it started out with alcohol, and that's why Pappy, who started Faith Farm Ministries, that's why he was so involved, and that's what you were saying, it's a bed, sleep it off in the night, right? But then it went to the, I guess it went to, hard drugs, but then it went to things that people were just regular citizens got hooked on pharmaceutical medication.
It turns out all of our students are regular citizens. We all have certain issues from our lives, from our upbringing, from being raised by imperfect parents who were doing what they could just to get by in a fallen world. And out of that, we've developed certain coping mechanisms. And some people become shy, for example. Others may be overbearing. Others will have other sorts of personality issues. Some will become workaholics, and we will praise them as champions of industry. But others choose different coping mechanisms, such as alcohol and now drugs, and some very, very hard drugs or pharmaceutical drugs. But they're all just coping mechanisms for the wounds of growing up on a fallen planet.
Oh, that's well said. Wounds of growing up on a fallen planet.
In other words, we are all screwed up, not just drug addicts. Every one of us, and
Yes.
but we all choose some form of dealing with that, of defending ourselves and dealing with the frustrations of this yuck that is often called life.
Right. I told you this before, and as I listen, you have a great radio voice.
Thank you. I think
Yeah.
I have the face for radio. I'm not sure about the voice.
No. Well, we have you on Facebook Live, and people can see it. We have you, of course, coming on YouTube. But I want to keep going with what you said. So there are a lot of places that charge high fees, and I don't think that they have the same results. And so you, of course, have something added that you feel makes the difference.
There is a purpose for those 30 and 40-day programs to break through denial, because if someone doesn't understand that they need help, they can't be helped. A lot of people will go to a rehab program of one shape or form because the judge said so, or mama said so, or, you can't stay here anymore if you don't go get help, and they'll go and they'll try it, but it's not really for them. They don't really want it. And those 30-day and 40-day programs are designed to break through denial and put them on a path to the 12 steps of AA or NA. And that's an important thing. That has a purpose. But that's not what we do. We take 10 months to begin the process of changing the way that people think. Think about what? Think about themselves, think about God, think about life, and think about their eternity. And when you can change your habit and style and fashion of thinking and begin to think biblical thoughts instead of worldly thoughts, and get healing for some of the wounds that you've been coping with or medicating with drugs and alcohol and other behaviors, you actually end up walking in a completely different way. You can't do that in 30 days. Yeah. It's really about a 2 to 5 year process, and we get you started in 10 months.
Oh, I didn't hear that. It's a 2 to 5 year process.
Yeah.
So one goes through your education and your help, and then what keeps them then getting the extra education? How do they do that?
Well, what we do isn't just, hey, 10 months and you're done. It's we take 10 months to instill new habits. We get you up at 5 in the morning, feed you breakfast, and then give you time for praise and worship in the morning, for journaling. And we teach people to hear the voice of the Lord. We teach them to get into their Bibles, not so that they can do it for 10 months and quit, but so they can do it for 10 months and then continue these new habits on into their life. We have guys come in that have never held a legal job in their entire life.
It's hard to believe.
And have what we would call a work ethic. And for the boomer generation that you minister to so well, not having a work ethic is almost completely unknown. But today, that's not at all uncommon that these guys have never had an alarm clock, never had to be at work at 9 a.m., and so we instill that in them as a part of forming a new habit and seeing what a productive lifestyle is supposed to look like. We can't do that for them, but we take 10 months to teach it to them, get them into those new habits so they can continue it.
You're so well spoken about this. I remember when you came on before, I always learn so much, but I need to ask you about that. It seems, what happened to the work ethic? Why didn't they get the work ethic?
I know
you talk to these people, and you must ask the same question of us.
The world has changed. There used to be frontiers. There were things for man to aspire to. There were princesses to be rescued, dragons to be slain. There was a moon to reach and a Soviet empire to be overcome. These were true then. Today, men in particular have become obsolete. We have now a political climate that says a man is the exact same as a woman, and right now, if I wanted to, I could put on a dress and call myself a woman, and if you disagree, then you are a bigot, and it's made us superfluous. We have nothing left to conquer, nothing left to do, and so you have an entire generation of people who are in their 30s who are still in mama's basement playing the PlayStation, with no direction and no guidance because they don't perceive that they are needed.
But isn't it really the responsibility of the family? Because, I mean, I have families, and that's not what they're going to be doing. That's not how they are. So, but the family is the one really who's responsible to give them that education and that love so that that doesn't happen, isn't it?
I would narrow it even more for you.
Okay.
We have a fatherless generation. And 100 years ago, 94% of Americans lived on the farm. And boys learned a work ethic at their father's knee. They were there when he would negotiate with the blacksmith and the grocer. They saw how work was done, how life was lived. They learned values and all of that right there at their father's side. Today, nearly half of America does not have a father in the home.
Well, I just have to share something, though, but I come from a family. My mother was divorced, but she and her two sisters, they were all divorced, but strong women. And I started working at a very early age, and my mother was my champion and my two aunts. And so I think it also, I agree with you, but then there are, there's, I don't know if it's hereditary or something in maybe the family before that just carried on. And you're saying that a lot of these people just didn't have that. Maybe they didn't know their grandparents. Maybe they didn't have some of that other good stuff.
Well, we can get into the historical reasons for this shift from the Industrial Revolution of the 1890s into the 19-teens, then World War I, where an entire generation of men went off to war and died, and then World War II, where they did it again, the sexual revolution of the 60s. Values changed. The number of men in our culture changed, and the American church has suffered this as well. It's now 60 to 70% feminine as a result of nearly a century of change.
What did you just say? The American church?
The American church, if you go into the average church in America today, 60 to 70% of the people in those pews
are women.
Are women. And so the message has been customized to suit the audience. If you were to walk into my church in an addiction recovery ministry, you're going to hear the gospel, but you're going to hear it packaged for someone who's struggled with life-controlling issues, such as drugs and alcohol. But if you walk into any typical Baptist or Methodist or whatever church in America today, you're going to hear a message that is mostly customized for a female ear.
Really?
And I have the privilege of ministering 99% to men.
Men, yes.
And so I can package this. Now, the gospel's the same, but the way that it's presented is the difference. So in a typical church, you talk about getting saved. But if you look at any guy movie, who gets saved? It's the woman that gets saved, and the guy is the hero who does the saving.
That's
so
true.
In my church, we talk about being reborn into the kingdom. There's something in the heart of a man when you start talking about a king. It inspires us it raises up our head. We want to meet this king. We want to follow him. We want to know him. We want to be at his side as he draws his sword and rides into battle. These are things that inspire a man's heart, but women think are foolish.
Oh, you
and
think
so
that's true? Women think that's foolish?
Well, they don't. They smile. You're smiling, and I thank you for it. But a lot of women, they can hear it. They hear the beauty in the terms, but their heart doesn't begin to thud in their chest the way it does when you speak to men about this. In average, in typical, in general, I should say. And
why did that change?
Just because, as I said,
of those reasons.
Through the 20th century,
really,
so many men went away to war. So many men died. The Industrial Revolution took men out of the home and put them in the factory, and so forth. So pastors began to look out across their audience and see mostly female faces looking back, and so they began to just naturally, not deliberately, just naturally package their message for their audience as anyone would. And so then you begin to have a culture where we cry and share our feelings and we hug and say, I love you. And, guys don't do that, right? We're getting to brotherhood. We'll do the churchy side hug.
Well, I see that when I come to your graduations and yes, and I do see the men hug each other, and I see the football players hug. Men hug now today.
Yes.
In sports especially, right?
But that was not true back in the day. And because
you're right, it wasn't. It's different. But is that bad?
Oh, no, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
But so that's a good message. And well, let's move fast forward to Faith Farm. So knowing what you just said, you have to explain this to your students, don't you? Because they don't know it.
Well, we have a wide range. Many of our students were raised in church. Some of them have ministers in their family for generations. Others, no background in the Bible or in church or anything at all. And so we have such a wide range. We have Catholics, we have Methodists and Baptists and Presbyterians, and you name it. And then a whole bunch of people who, like myself, before I was saved, nothing. And so you have not just a non-denominational group, you have an interdenominational group. And so when we talk about, for something as simple as praise and worship, well, you might have 15 people across the front pew with 15 different views of what that's supposed to look like.
That's really interesting. You put it always, I remember that when you came. You speak so, you not only eloquently, but you're very philosophical also. And so you do put it the way it is. And so when you get new students, this is quite a challenge for you, knowing what you just said.
Well, what we have to do is speak in plain, ordinary English that any English speaker can understand rather than using some form of Christianese. Because if people have been in the same church for 15, 20, 30 years, they form a dialogue, an understanding of what certain terms and phrases mean, but new people coming in there may not know those yet. And so we just are careful to phrase things in plain language that any listener should understand, and then we restate it 2 or 3 or 5 or 8 times so that the new people coming in can get it. And we give folks the basics. I personally believe that the gospel needs to be simple. If you need to have a PhD or things on the wall or be some kind of a rocket surgeon to understand the gospel, that you're not preaching the gospel correctly. It should be for every man, so that anyone can understand, anyone can get a hold of the good news and place their faith in Jesus Christ and be reborn into his kingdom. And that is the beginning of transformation. That's not the goal. That's the beginning. That's the starting place. It is out of that transformation that takes place that we then begin to teach what you are now and what that means about you and how that will affect your life and that of the people around you.
So I'm always so spellbound when Douglas comes on the show, but I want you to know it's Douglas Lidwell. He's pastor and director of Fort Lauderdale campus, the Faith Farm Ministries. That should have been said first. Faith Farm Ministries, Douglas Lidwell. Pastor Douglas Lidwell. And Fort Lauderdale campus, and there are 2 other campuses. There's one in Okeechobee and then one in Boynton Beach. Many of you have probably gone to their stores, and you can buy things there much less expensive than if you went to just buy something new. And they do have some new things, and also you can, of course, just deliver or have them call them and pick up anything that you want, as long as it's good. I don't want you to give them garbage, please. But pick up good things, and then they get to sell them. They also have wonderful graduations. You're always welcome to come to them. But I'm going to give you their website, which is faithfarm.org, and you'll find a lot of things on that you may want to know. If you are hurting and you're listening now and you're interested in possibly sharing your life and becoming a student there, all you have to do is go to faithfarm.org, and you'll see a phone number to call. And I hope that some of you who don't know who to donate your money, whether it's in your will or whether it's just because you have extra money, please donate it to faithfarm.org, Faith Farm Ministries, because they really, I've been listening to, of course, Douglas, but in a sense, I know personally how important that organization is. They do what they say. They have changed so many lives since 1951. 51. I can't even hardly believe that, but it's true, 51. And there are many, many people out there, then when they leave, they become not only better citizens, they start their own churches, they start their own organizations. It's a very inspirational organization, and they have had lots and lots of people, and they imagine for someone who has no money, and they can go there and have a beautiful life. They have a bed. They learn trades. They learn to be friends with people. They learn so much, and then they can go out into the world. And the people who are most affected are their families, because many of the families have lost that person in a sense. And I've seen that when I go to the graduation. They're so inspiring, and you see all the families stand up there, and also the other inspiration, we were talking about hugging, and all the students make friends with one another, and they become, as you said, brothers. So it's full of inspiration. I don't even know how to say it any better. And
It really
I think I
is.
told you that my mother's piano was there. Are you the one I told?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had a lot of money to donate. I do talk enough about it, and hopefully some of these people are donating it, and I just don't know about it. But you should be, and I know you're proud. How long have you been there?
We've been here 6.5 years now.
You have.
Yeah. So not the entire 1951 time, but since 2013.
That's pretty interesting that you've done that. And how have there been any particular instances, and you don't have no names or anything, but things that you saw that were very inspirational you'd like to share with maybe?
How do you even pick?
I don't know.
I have the amazing privilege of leading men from every denominational background, every ethnicity, every corner of the country, and helping them be transformed by the grace of God. And I say this all the time. If you're the pastor of an ordinary church somewhere on any corner in America today, you've got that family in the third pew that's been there for 20 years, and you might see that much spiritual growth. But I see guys who go, and I like to say it this way, from crackhead crazy to son of God in 10 months' time. And it's just an amazing transformation. And the fruit of that ministry is so incredibly powerful. When you have someone in your family that is struggling with addiction, one of the errors that they get in their mind is, well, it's my body. If I want to put cocaine in it, if I want to put methamphetamine in it, if I want to put heroin in it, it's mine. I can do what I want to do. Well, and that might be true if you were Tom Hanks on an island with a volleyball, but you're not. You have a family, and there are people who love you and care about you, and every one of them suffers when you are in the devastation of addiction. And those are the people who benefit the most, as you just mentioned, as they come out of that and they learn to walk with heads held high as sons of God and as productive members of society. We are in the business of producing husbands, of producing fathers, of producing brothers and sons. And the transformation we see is just so profound.
The last article, which really was interesting, I don't know if you got a chance to read it, is called A Wife's Responsibility. And it was written by Mary. Let's see, what's her last name? Her last name is...
I can't see.
Okay, I can't either. I'm sorry, I didn't put my glasses. I should have put my glasses on.
Oh, Mary Grisani.
Yes.
Yes.
Now that was one of the most powerful articles. A wife's responsibility, and it's really true, isn't it?
It really is. Like I said, addiction affects the entire family, and so it is really a work of the entire family to turn and walk a new direction. Someone does not get into addiction in a void, in a vacuum. They are affected by the world around them. And by that, I don't mean trees and rocks and clouds. I mean people. It is the wounds of people that have placed them in a situation where they feel the need to medicate with drugs and alcohol. Those are generally wounds from their upbringing, but it can also be the relationships that they're in. And so the mothers, the brothers and sisters, and certainly the wives that are around them, they need to come alongside and help change the life that they're getting back from a program like ours. I was speaking with someone several years ago. They have a very large Greek family, and they had all come and were having lunch on our campus after church one day. And it was one of those things where they're so loud and everybody's talking all at the same time. It was so wonderful for my tiny little quiet white family to be involved with these folks. And then one of them asked, what should we do for Rodney after he's done here? And I just turned to them and said, just don't be Nazareth. And the room quieted. And somehow they all heard over each other's talking. And they all turned to me, what do you mean by that? I said, when Jesus went back to his hometown, it said he could do no great miracles among them because of their unbelief. He only healed a few. So when you get your brother back, what you don't know is that for these last 10 months, he has been treated like a son of God. He has been through a transformation. He has received healing for some of his wounds so that he can continue that healing process. He's been given new habits and new attitudes, and we have treated him like a new man. But your last experience with him was him stealing Mama's lawnmower to go pay for drugs. So please don't treat him like the man you knew. Treat him like the man he's become.
That's fabulous.
At the same time, we teach the students, don't be surprised when you get home and they treat you like the man you were. And don't set yourself up for failure.
You're so good. You are so good with that you just hit it on the head. Because they're in pain also, as well. Everyone's in pain, and I'm sure when this happens. And then the person who's now been, helped, and the family, they have to just sit back a little bit and accept it. But I think through going to the graduations, going to a lot of the processes, even the welcome parties that you have. I mean, what we call them, what are the ones that are reunions?
Yeah.
I see all those people now. I don't know. They must all have something to do with Faith Farm, or they wouldn't be there. Whether they're the people or the friends or something, right?
Sunday, March 1st will be our next homecoming.
Oh, yeah, I have to write that down because I can't. That's the most inspirational thing. I never miss them.
Yeah, so
March
all
1st.
three campuses will come together at our Boynton Beach location.
Yes.
Under the tent.
Right.
And we will have a unified church service.
Oh, yeah.
Testimonies of some of our graduates. We'll have lunch and a softball tournament and everything.
It's fabulous, yes.
But we're going to have about 1,000 people there who've come through or are related in some way to one of our three campuses.
Douglas Lidwell, you are just terrific. I'm so glad you took the time to come here and do this with us. I really thank you so much. And remember, faithfarm.org, you'll find out everything you need. And please donate money. They really need it, and they do such good work. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.